What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the shop. Today we're gonna my dad's gonna come down and give me a hand. I'm gonna try the video, but I don't know how much I'm gonna get done because we really want to try and bust this cage out. A little bit of prep work before he gets here. I'm going through and bolting the landing plates. So at each location there will be a plate on top and a plate on bottom that sandwich the body, and then these bottom plates I'll actually tie down to the frame. So there'll be 4 locations on each side, one in the front, one down right in here. There's one up here on top of the fender, and there'll be one back here in the back corner. These back corner ones I'm gonna cut to fit the corner of the body. There'll only be 3 bolts in each of those, which will be fine. So that's what I'm doing right now, just getting all those bolted in, and actually I'm gonna go and cut out. I already traced that back corner. So you can see the arch I'm gonna cut off there. I'm just gonna cut outside of that line and it should be just right. So that's what we're doing. That's better. These babies were hot. Okay, so that's our driver. This is our passenger. We'll drop it in right there. And well, I really don't like that fit. I ground too much. Way too much. Oh well. I might actually grind a little more out on the edges to make it a little more uniform. And then it'll be fine. The more clearance, the better. Trying to get this cage out was going to be kind of a pain anyway. That's why I had to clearance these corners. So yeah, I'll take a little more material on each edge and kind of make them fit better. Get those bolted in, and then I just got to work on these front ones. I can't get a drill in tight enough to drill this hole straight. So what I have to do is drill the other 3 and kind of ream them, and then bolt the bottom plate on and drill that front hole up from the bottom, and then ream it all into place. I did the other side last night. It was a pain, but so I got that left to do. Other than that, I've got pretty much all the plates bolted on except that front one and these 2 rear corners. I can hear him. He's almost here. Oh, he's in his Jeep today. I thought he was gonna bring the square body. Doesn't he realize it's raining? So his Jeep is another one that you'll get to see eventually. I want to do a Dirty Origins video on it, a walkthrough, because that Jeep, that's as nice of an install you can do with a V8 into a flat fender. So there she is. Pretty. screen looks really bubbly. I don't know if I pushed a button or what, but so we got it to this point and we wrote down all of our angles and measurements and everything for this side. Dad's going to get the welding blanket so I can lay it over the seats so I don't burn holes in them when I tack everything on top. But we're gonna try and get the other side bent and in place today, and then I gotta work on all the spreader bars, but it's actually turning out pretty nice. I'm very happy with it. I wish it was a little bit taller because my back seats are a couple inches higher than the front seats, the bases are, and when I sit in the back, my head's up about flush with the very top of the cage. So we'll see what I end up doing there on spreader bars. I might bend them up a little bit to kind of make a dome. We'll see. I don't really like that idea, but I also don't like the idea of my passengers' heads hanging out the top of the cage that's supposed to protect their heads. So we'll see. I'm not going to redo everything. I do have another possible idea if I want to lift it any higher, but I think it just looked goofy if I lifted that cage up much higher. It's about just right. So we got both of them moved back. I do like it much better. Don't care for how it's in that doorway, but like I said, with the seat in the way anyway, it's way better. I'm gonna cut the seat bracket, probably cut a couple inches out of it and move both seats in an inch. And I'll have to cut a couple tacks. This leg is not gonna move, and the same leg on that side is not gonna move. The bracket will just have to come in closer. But yeah, I think we're gonna be all right with this. Wish it was better, but oh well, can't change it. The only other thing I could have done, but I don't know that I would have liked it, I wanted all the bends in the bar to be the same at the same height. And I mean, I guess I could have dropped the bends down to top of body and sent it back, and that would have actually worked better. Here wouldn't have changed much. It would have dropped it down a little bit, brought it back a little bit further. But I just wanted all the angles to be the same so it's a bit more uniform, and it's good enough. It'll work. So I'm gonna re-tack those in place, drill 4 more holes to make them permanent, and then I'm gonna start building spreader bars across the top. We'll do one up here in the front. It'll start right in here, bend in towards the windshield, run out right above the mirror and back out behind the post there. I'll do another one here, but it's gonna bend back across and then back forward to that tie-in point. Do the same thing here. We'll come and we'll bring it back flush with this at an angle, and then across and back in. That'll get us our 3 tops. And then after I do that, I'm gonna probably put a crossbar between here and the other side to support the seat. And then it'll be kind of hard, but I'm gonna build an X pipe that comes up off of that. I'll have to throw a bend in it right here behind the seat, and then up to this top tie bar, so it'll go corner to corner for lateral strength. And then we'll kind of figure out what else we're gonna put in there for bars. Probably gonna put one across here. We've done this on our other Jeeps, and you actually drill a whole bunch of holes in it and duct the heater into that bar. and that becomes your defroster for the springtime wheeling, because these things aren't exactly waterproof, and you got a heater going, you get a lot of fog. So probably gonna do a defroster bar, and I won't be able to X bar on this one. It's just too much. It would be back here in the way of the rear seat passengers, in the way of their legs. So hopefully doing a little extra strength there and extra strength back here, we'll get away with the center not being X barred. All right, so I kind of played around with that angle finder over there in the seat. Kind of eyeballed what angle I thought would work good to come off of the sidebars out to the windshield, across and back. That ended up being about 26 degrees, give or take a little bit. So I just threw the tubing in the bender, bent it to 27 degrees to account for some spring back, and I did not check what the total angle was. In order to cope this properly, which it's close, but it needs to be adjusted a ways, I need to stand this back up, level out with my angle finder, figure out what exactly this angle is, then set the gauge here on the notcher. So I got to do that real quick so I can get this thing set up right. Looks like we're 25 3/4 degrees. Check both sides. Yeah, this one's 25.9, which I didn't re-zero, which I shouldn't have to. Yeah, 25.9. So we're, 25 3/4 to 26 degrees. On this, that quarter degree isn't gonna matter. Not building a race car, trying to stay in spec. This bar, this is the end of this bar. So I'm not gonna go in there and try and get that quarter degree, because I'll end up overshooting it and then I'll be chasing my tail. So we're gonna shoot for a 26 degree cope on this. I'll find my bolts under here. There we go. There's that. And there's that. I'm gonna watching our gauge. That's about 26 degrees right there. And that looks like it's gonna line up pretty decent down that. So we'll lock it in place. Just our tube. Did make a mark, so I gotta keep that mark. There it is. Should be out just a little bit. There we go. And we'll shoot our sight line down this to make sure it's not twisted, which it actually looks really good. Surprisingly, I never hit that first try, but got lucky that time. Then it's a lot easier to do this part when you have someone else here. My dad was my WD-40 man yesterday, but I gotta do it myself today. get to this point, and since there's that point on there, it bottoms out the hole saw, so it's cut so thin you can just break it off. But yeah, it'll lock you up for a second. Then the rest of the cut goes pretty quick. And we've got us a really nice 26-degree cope. Clean it up with the grinder. I'll put glasses on. There are much nicer tools out there for doing this, but I'm a hobbyist, so that's all I need is this. I think it was about $100 bucks from, I think, Speedway Motors. I can't remember for sure where I got it. I bought it probably 6 years ago to work on my square body that's outside, to do the tube flatbed on it. Oh, that's way off. And but yeah, I've had it for a lot of years. I don't use it very often, but when I need it, it's nice. It usually lives up at my dad's shop. So close, so close. Yeah, I think I can live with that. Our chunk fell off on that one. Dig it out of there. I don't think I'm quite cutting this one deep enough, but I can touch it up with the grinder after that. That's the first one I had to touch up on this whole thing so far, but can't get lucky all the time. And I'm not a professional fabricator. There we go. Touch this one up with the grinder real quick too. Now guys, there's one thing I didn't take into account here, and that is this bar is tapered in, and which this bar, I can fill in that cope. It just left the back of the cope open a little bit, which is fine. The front of the cope fits all right. This will actually rock up a little bit there. I'm gonna leave just enough room for that rear view mirror. There we go, it'll be rocked up. So I should still be able to see somewhat out of it. Otherwise I'll probably relocate the mirror down just a little bit. It's just a couple screws. Yeah, that bar will fit. I'll get the welding blanket stretched over the seats and get her tacked in, and then I just got to recreate it 2 more times for these back spreader bars, but they're a little bit longer. And yeah, we'll keep pushing on this thing. If I can get all these tacked in and start working on the crossbars, the defroster bar I should say, get the defroster bar and this back crossbar, and then start figuring out the X bar, then I'll be looking good today. Getting a bit of a late start. Had to celebrate last night, celebrated a little too hard, so I'm not moving real great today. All right, guys, sorry about that. I didn't set up the camera. I don't really have a good place to set it up for doing this. I guess I should set it up in the loft and just time lapse everything I'm doing here, because I'm not gonna video every time that I notch a tube or bend a tube, anything like that, unless I'm gonna do a time lapse. So I think we'll go that route. But you can see I got about a 1/4 inch gap on the mirror there. This bar sticks out not clear to the front of this. It'll be fine where it's at. Won't interfere with headroom, anything, but it gives good strength there in the front of this cage. So I think it'll be fine. The more I look at it, the more I want to move it forward and get rid of that mirror, but I think it'll be okay. It is flat across, so that's good. I think I'm gonna call it good for now. If I decide I want to change it, I got to cut a couple tacks and that's it. I'm gonna measure up and do this next one. Get the welding blanket pulled back out and I can crawl in there and sit. I don't want any chance of my head hitting it, so it might have to bump back an inch or two. I was really wanting to have it all right here at the same joint, but it might just have to go back some. Is what it is. You know, I could try and move that leg back. I keep going back and forth on if I'm gonna do that or not. But the very back, I actually really like where that one landed. I might grind it just a little bit to bump it forward, or maybe a 1/4 inch. But that'll be nice, and I want to get it nice and square across here and there, so if I do a soft top, that it can actually pull tight on that bar and not be floppy and have a bad fit. So that's where we're at, but I'm excited to have these parts here pretty well built, and we'll just keep pressing on. Well, that took entirely too long. I think it took about 4 or 5 hours of cutting and grinding to try and cope this, but I got the X-brace in. I had to bend it in the center, which made coping extra hard because the pipe collapses right there. But we've got it all coped and fit. The solid tube that comes across from here up to there, I had to cut the inside of the cope off to be able to fit the pipe up in there, because being coped on both ends, it had to give somewhere. So I cut that off. The piece is sitting up there. It comes in from the other side, and I can weld it all back up. These two pieces being separate, those copes actually turned out much nicer and fit much better. But yeah, now I got to take it all back apart and weld up and start welding my way out, and those will be the last ones to get welded in. Then this thing will be solid. I showed you guys earlier that I moved the center pillar back. I moved it back 1 more inch, and I had to cut the front bar loose. I took a bunch of measurements and realized that it was back like 3/4 of an inch on that side. And so I got everything trued up, squared up, measured out, and fitting much better. So I did that. The only bar that I really have left to do on this cage is the defroster bar across here, I believe. And then I don't know if I'm gonna do any more spreaders up in the roof pan. I just don't want bars there for people to hit their head on. And if this was a rock crawler, it'd be different. But this is a leisure wheeler and a snow wheeler, and it's not going to change anything having those there or not. So we'll see. I'm kind of on the fence about that, but the cage is coming along well. We got two solid days in on it, just fitting stuff, but I'm happy with the results so far, and I'll get her all welded up, pulled out, and painted. But we're getting really close to done on that. All right, everyone, I haven't videoed the weld out on the cage just because, well, I didn't want to. Not that interesting just to watch lights on a screen. So anyways, there's one thing I'm going to show you, and it's something we've done to all of our Jeeps. My friend Kevin, he taught me this trick years ago, and with these old Jeeps, there's no way to get a defroster in them. And so what he told me to do is you run a dash bar, and then you cut out a hole here, then you drill holes in the top of your dash bar that'll blow up on your windshield, and you basically just weld a port down here as well, and that way you can duct your heater up through your dash bar and have a defroster. With our other style roll cages that come from this side over to this side, you actually would cut out the hole on that side as well to equalize the pressure. But where I have front to back main hoops, it's just going to be fed from one side. I'm going to get the die grinder out and clean that hole up a little bit, and then when I weld this piece on here, it really shouldn't be any less strong because of that hole. And honestly, I don't use my roll bar, they're just there for looks. Normally I would drill all these holes in right now and probably do the port down here and all that stuff, but I don't even know what kind of a heater I'm running in this thing yet, and so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. But I want to get this bar welded in, and that hole needs to be in there pretty much no matter what. I can do all the rest of it later, so I just trying to keep going. I've got the whole cage welded out except for that bar. And then when I pull it out, I got to finish welding the feet. It was just bolt heads in the way and stuff like that, so I got to weld around there and do some grinding, and I got a lot of grinding to do to clean things up. I was welding really spattery, so I'll get these ones welded in. I wanted to make sure I welded out 100% other than the feet in the Jeep bolted in place, so if it was going to try and draw or push or anything like that, then it would at least cool in place and hopefully not do it near as bad. So that was the whole goal. Hopefully I can get this welded out and get the whole thing out tonight, and then I'm gonna start cleaning up and painting it. All right, let's see if we got this thing balanced at all. And I've got to set this too. Actually, it's pretty dang good. Yeah, let's see how much this cage weighs. actually really well for balance. Gotta steer it up out of here. Hung up on something over there. Oh. Hung up on the bottom of the seat, so I had the seat back forward. There we go. Now it should drive on out. Swing it back this way. Okay, still off the ground there. Well, let's see if we can see how much it weighs. All right, so each line on that is 50 pounds, and we got 1, 2, my eyes are playing tricks on me at that distance. 1, 2, 3, about 3 1/4. So 50, 100, 150, 160 pounds-ish. So that's not too bad. It's a fair amount of tube, and it's up high, but I mean, that's better than I thought it was gonna be, so cool. Now I'll fire up the backhoe, bring it in, and pack this thing out. Actually, I'm not gonna take it out tonight, but I'll be able to here in the near future. I think I'll probably set it down, block it up, finish welding the foot plates. I welded what I could, but I would need to weld them out 100%. And then take the grinder to it and clean up some spatter. And then I've got one of those belt sander attachments for my other grinder, and try and doll things up and clean up the pipe, get it to where it'll take a nice paint job. So that's where we're at for right now.